The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. My name is Andy MacNeil. I'm here on weekdays here on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts to provide NHL projections, picks, betting advice, and strategies to help you make informed bets throughout the NHL season. Today is Wednesday, February 28th, but it's not the last day of the month because it's a leap year. So we've got the 29th tomorrow, a lot of hockey games to look toward and break down because Thursday there is a big slate, but Wednesday, unfortunately, is a pretty lackluster slate. Two lopsided games. We've got the Blues tired in after playing in Winnipeg, losing 4-2 to the Winnipeg Jets on Tuesday. They'll be in Edmonton, my hometown here, on Wednesday to take on the Oilers. Oilers big money line favorites, of course. Looking for a bit of a revenge here as St. Louis took down the Oilers at home back on February 15th by a score of 6-3. The Oilers actually led in the first period, looked pretty good early, but allowed 4 goals in the second period. St. Louis, as I said, went on to win the game 6-3. And the other game is a rematch between the Rangers and the Blue Jackets. Of course, the Blue Jackets handed the Rangers a 4-2 defeat just a few days back. And now they're meeting once again here. The Rangers, a big favorite, of course. But yeah, lots to look forward to tomorrow. Honestly, I'm a bit frustrated. I'm pissed off, guys. I am, because I spend a lot of time making my numbers, and lately, man, I feel like I'm just being backed into betting on teams in bad spots, tired teams, and bad teams like the St. Louis Blues. And it looks like tomorrow I'm getting kind of backed into betting on another bad team, the Buffalo Sabres, a team that I think has been, frankly, playing over their head. But I also think the Lightning are a bit overrated. So plus 150 on the Buffalo Sabres on the money line tomorrow. Was going to lock that in for a 1-unit play at plus 155, but of course it moved right before we went live here. Plus 150, 3/4 of a unit on the Buffalo Sabres on the money line to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday. Seeing some other sports books open up at around plus 145. So shop around for sure. But yeah, NorthStar Bets, our sponsor. We use NorthStar Bets on this show, and we're locking the Sabres in at plus 150 on the money line for Thursday. Some injury updates to get to. Red Wings defenseman Moritz Seider required x-rays after blocking some shots on Tuesday, but he is believed to be fine. Should hear more about that today. Panthers forward Carter Verhaeghe is day-to-day after taking a puck to the face in Tuesday's game versus Buffalo. The Panthers are hosting Jake's Habs on Thursday. And add Adrian Kempe to the list of injured Los Angeles Kings players. Victor Arvidsson, Mikey Anderson, and Carl Grundstrom also on that list. So the Kings are hurting right now. Josh Norris, he's hurting again, listed day-to-day for the Senators after suffering an apparent shoulder injury. Lots of concern there because it looked like it was another injury to his surgically repaired shoulder. Artem Zub is also day-to-day for the Senators. They suffered an ugly loss versus the Nashville Predators on Wednesday. They didn't register a shot in the third period. First time in franchise history that the Senators did not register a shot in the period. So dominant performance from the Nashville Predators. Jack Eichel, he's on the road with the Vegas Golden Knights. He'll need to be cleared before he can play, but Eichel may be in the lineup when the Vegas Golden Knights take on the Bruins in Boston on Thursday. He last played on January 11th, coincidentally, against the Boston Bruins. He had a goal and an assist in that one. For the Ducks, Troy Terry is considered day-to-day. He missed Sunday's game versus Nashville. He has 23 points in his last 19 games, so important that the Ducks get him back. Trevor Zegras is nearing a return, could be back in the lineup soon. He's been out with an ankle injury. Speaking of the Ducks, this will be the third time that Anaheim has had negative odds on heading into a road game, and they are 0-2. They lost 5-3 to the Sharks on January 20th, and they were shut out 1-0 by the Blackhawks back on December 27th. Anaheim has also had negative odds in 5 home games. They went 2-3 in those games, so you'd be 2-5 betting on Anaheim when they have negative money line odds this season. generally a bad idea, I think, right? I don't know why anybody would look at the Ducks in these spots and think, oh, that's an attractive spot to bet on a team like Anaheim. Doesn't make much sense to me. I'm certainly not looking to bet on San Jose, but the Ducks closed at minus 130 the last time out in San Jose. We'll see where this one goes this time, opening up as a pick 'em right now at NorthStar Bets. Um, yeah, speaking of Buffalo, though, a little bit about why I'm backing the Sabres here. They've performed pretty well as big road underdogs this season. They've gone 6-7 in road games where their odds are plus 155 or more. The Sabres upset the Boston Bruins plus 220, the Rangers plus 195, Toronto plus 190, Vegas plus 180. Los Angeles plus 170 and Ottawa plus 169 on the road this season. So I don't think upsetting the Lightning is out of the realm of possibility here, considering they've been upset by some teams like the Senators and the Capitals recently. They've lost 4 of 6. I think the Sabres can maybe jump on the Lightning here on Tuesday. The Columbus Blue Jackets, like I said, they're in action versus the Rangers, or on Thursday. Sorry, they're in action against the Rangers on Wednesday, and then they're going to be in action again on Thursday when they head to Carolina. So you look at the Blue Jackets since the All Star break, and they've had some pretty good underlying metrics. They look really good in terms of expected goals percentage, but 3 of those games were against Anaheim, San Jose, and Buffalo. So they've only played 7 since the All Star break. So it is skewed there a little bit towards some of those bottom feeder opponents. And the Blue Jackets are going to play 5 games in the next 7 days, starting with a back to back, as I said, tonight against the Rangers and Thursday against the Hurricanes. Carolina closed as a minus 308 favorite the last time Columbus was in town earlier this season. And on the surface, it was a close game. The Hurricanes won that one 3-2, but they outshocked Columbus 43-23 in that game. So I think that, Thursday's matchup against the Hurricanes could be a bit of a tell as to whether what we've seen out of the Blue Jackets recently is real or not. It's going to be a really tough spot. And then those next 4 games following that will be pretty tough as well, just due to the schedule. Tough losses last night. The Blues. I thought the Blues played a pretty good game, all things considered. Not a great first period. Wish Joel Hofer would have had one of those goals. And I think if he did, then maybe we'd be looking at an overtime defeat, maybe, or an overtime win. But the Blues pushed really hard against the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets sat back quite a bit in that game. They're in action against the Dallas Stars on Thursday. And I don't have much of an opinion on this game because opening odds match up pretty closely with my projection. But I think I do want to talk about why my model still says Dallas has a decent chance of winning the Central Division. To be honest, I thought after dropping back to back games against the Isles, and then, of course, the Colorado Avalanche on Tuesday. I thought that with Winnipeg beating the Blues, we might see them take a big jump in the projections, but not so much. And I don't know. You look into it a little bit, and I think you start to realize maybe why my model sees things the way it does. Because Winnipeg, they do have 4 games in hand on Dallas, but 14 of their 25 remaining games will be on the road, and the competition is pretty stiff. On average, the teams that the Jets are going to face on the road have a projected point total of 95.5 on average, and the teams that they'll play at home have a projected point total of about 91 points on average. So really tough competition all around for the Winnipeg Jets. Dallas, on the other hand, they're going to play 12 of their remaining 21 games against homes with an average against at home against teams with an average projected point total of 92. But the nine road games that the Stars are going to play, they're going to play them against a lot of bottom feeders. The average projected points of the teams that Dallas will play on the road in those remaining 9 games is 78.2. So realistically, a lot of easy wins on the road for Dallas. Those 4 games that the Jets have in hand are road games. And maybe I think based on this, it's not unreasonable to think that Dallas could finish with more points in their final 21 games than the Jets could finish with in their final 25 games. That's not to say that my model isn't missing something. Maybe it is, but I don't think the process is flawed just because it doesn't line up with what we're seeing in the standings right now. I think it's very conditional on, the Jets making good and or the Jets, winning games down the stretch, and of course Dallas. I think it's obviously conditional on Dallas actually winning the games that they're supposed to win and vice versa. So we'll see what happens here. This is a big meeting between these two Central Division teams, so it'll be interesting, and I'm curious to see what the projections will look like after this one if the Jets do in fact beat the Stars on Thursday. So yeah, I mean, kind of rough. I mean, some sports books are starting to open up, but if anything, the odds are kind of getting worse than they looked this morning. At least compared to my odds. So not really sure where things are going to go heading into the afternoon and into the evening for Thursday's slate. Hopefully, there will be some movement here, but yeah, I mean, it's tough sledding right now. I feel like the last couple of weeks kind of just been sort of backed into a corner with not really finding value on the teams that you'd like to find value on, right? Jake, what you think of the Habs performance last night? Big win over the Coyotes, hurting that draft stock a little bit more and more each day.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's like half the fan base loves Sam Montembeau for what he's doing, and then the other half hates him because he keeps screwing up that draft stock. I think their only two wins in their recent skid have come against Anaheim and the Coyotes. So they're really not doing themselves any favors in getting into that top five. But yeah, Montembeau's playing for his boyhood team, and he's playing his heart out every time. I think he's going to get the start against the Panthers. I think I read that right before we went live. So he's getting the gas, and he's playing his best, even if a lot of the fans would rather they just tank.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I wouldn't rule him out as a trade deadline target, but because I guess if an offer comes along that's too good to pass up, they're gonna have to do it. Um, but yeah. Anybody else in Montreal that's being talked about as maybe on the move here?
I think a guy they don't really want to get rid of, but probably has the best trade juice is David Savard right now.
Yeah.
They want to keep David Savard around for the young defenseman, kind of the mentoring, and of course he's playing for his boyhood club as well. So I don't think he really wants to move. But as you said, if an offer that they can't refuse comes along, I think David Savard is going to be the name that we'll see in the coming weeks.
I still think that that's one of my favorite highlights from this season was him when he broke his hand earlier this year and he was just getting pelted at one after another. It was like a 45-second period where he just got smacked like three or four times with slap shots. Yeah, that's still my favorite clip this year, I think.
Yeah, Jaden Struble, one of the young defensemen on the Habs, says that he's never played with anybody braver than David Savard. So some pretty high praise from the rookies for him. But that's the kind of guy that you want during the playoffs. So I think he's gonna, especially when Chris Tanev gets dealt. I think the David Savard market could heat up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Calgary does here. I mean, they could really shake things up. I mean, across the league by trading Hannafin to a contender and whatnot. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting heading into the trade deadline. Hopefully, I mean, we will have some coverage here from a betting perspective on the NHL trade deadline. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things where I don't really put much thought, or I don't spend much time thinking about the trade deadline until it's here because, until the trades start happening, you can't alter the projections, anything or anything like that. So yeah, it's one of those things where I kind of just try to ignore the rumors and go about my business each and every day. But it gets a little hard because yeah, there's some interesting names out there. Pavel Buchnevich, he's been hot lately. He's being talked about a lot. I believe he was number 11 on the DFO trade target board. So definitely a lot of chatter around him. You wonder about the Blues. Obviously, they've been sinking a little bit lately and kind of falling out of the wild card picture there after a pretty good run um, over the last couple of months, and yeah, you wonder if they'll make the decision to kind of blow things up and be sellers at the deadline because they do have a lot of pieces that could be really really valuable to a lot of other teams. So, but as far as the Oilers and the Blues go tonight. kind of an interesting matchup. Pretty tough one from a betting perspective, I think, because it's a pretty lopsided game. And Edmonton, I mean, it's tough. Like they've crushed in these spots. So Edmonton, they've dominated tire teams. They've won 4 out of 5 against road teams that played the day before this season. But $100 better would only be up $108 betting on the Oilers because they're always such big favorites, right? And they only cover the puck line in 2 out of those 5 games that they hosted a team on the second half of a back to back. So, probably not performing as well as you would expect in those games, but this will also mark the 10th time that the Oilers will come into a home game with money line odds greater than -200, and Edmonton hasn't lost as a -200 home favorite since the home opener when they dropped a 4-3 decision to the Vancouver Canucks. But once again, a better would be only up $183, betting $100 on the Oilers in each of those 9 games, despite the fact that they'd have a near perfect 8-1 record. Because once again, it's pretty tough to get any value on Edmonton at these big prices, and they have been crushing these big underdogs, though, winning 8 straight in regulation and covering the puck line each time. So maybe some other considerations there in terms of betting the Oilers, but yeah, their defensive lapses do give me a lot of pause lately. I mean, even in their win over the Kings, they allowed 40 shots on goal, and that is not what you'd expect out of this team. So, they kind of managed to get their defense right on the surface in that game, allowing 2 goals for the first, or fewer than 3 goals for the first time in 11 games. But I don't think they're necessarily out of the woods yet. And of course, St. Louis's little downturn here has carved into it, but they're still the most profitable money line bet year to date. And yeah, losing 4 of 6 is definitely taking a chunk out of that. But like I said, they played pretty good in Winnipeg on Tuesday. They look desperate, and maybe they'll bring some of that desperation into the matchup with the Oilers here. I think you could even argue that they were the better team, especially in the final 40 minutes, but just wasn't enough to get the job done after falling behind 3-1 in the first period. 2 or fewer goals though in 5 of their last 7 games. So it's important that the Blues get back on track offensively. But I think it is kind of time for this team to take their rightful place as a bottom feeder. They are the 30th team in 5-on-5 expected goals percentage per evolving hockey. So not a surprise that things are the wheels are falling off here for St. Louis, but I guess it is worth noting that it's going to be the 9th time that they'll play the second game of a back-to-back on the road this season, and they have gone 4-4 straight up in these situations. But they managed to pull off big road upsets against teams like Vancouver at +209 odds, Florida +198, and Colorado +197. But I think this game is going to be their biggest test and could be rock bottom for the Blues here as they look pretty rough as of late. So, yeah, no action on Wednesday's slate, but yeah, play on the St. Louis or the Buffalo Sabres for Thursday at +150 odds. And I'm just gonna do another little check here, see what we've got. Um, if there's any movement. Let's see. All right, so opening up, interesting here. We've got a few faraway places opening up with the Red Wings at -118, NorthStar Bets at -123, and DraftKings and FanDuel at -130 and -134 respectively. So I'm looking at the odds here at, like I said, one of these faraway places, -118. So could almost justify making a smaller play on the Red Wings here at that price um, against the Islanders. Alex Lyon going to get the start for the Red Wings. They crushed the Capitals on Tuesday. Um, Looks like an even shorter price opening up as Northstar has moved to -244. Was at -233, moved to -244 on the Carolina Hurricanes. DraftKings at -250. FanDuel down around -225 though. So currently the best odds in the market over there. Kind of an interesting interesting development, I guess, with some options in terms of maybe betting the Carolina Hurricanes. Um, Boston opening up at some of those faraway places at minus 157. NorthStar minus 172, plus 140 coming back on the other side for the Vegas Golden Knights, who I mentioned could get Jack Eichel back. So that's something to watch there. Let's see what they're opening up the Buffalo Sabres to. Yeah, so those faraway places opening up the Sabres at plus 140. Um, and So yeah, that would be maybe an indication that that plus 150 not going to stick around too long here on the Sabres. The Habs as high as plus 245 at some spots. Best price in market for the Florida Panthers minus 265. Um, Jordan Binnington going to get the start for the Oilers today. That just came out. Of course, we expected that with Joel Hofer going last night versus Winnipeg. Um, Tough spot for Dallas here again. I mean, they're still kind of playing out this tough stretch of games. I've got the Stars listed as minus 127 favorite according to the model. That's exactly where NorthStar has this one at right now, minus 127 in favor of the Stars. But the Stars opening up at minus 140 at some of those faraway shops, plus 120 on the side of the Winnipeg Jets, minus 135 at DraftKings. So yeah, some differences in how the market is viewing this one. The Winnipeg Jets as high as plus 120, like I said. So um, yeah, everything's really close to my numbers. And yeah, I mean, a small part of me wants to, kind of try to challenge myself a little bit more here, but it just goes against logic, right? Like I spend all this time, I try to craft the best prediction that I can, the best measurement of what I think the odds should be. And I do all this before I even look at the sports books odds. And if, I actually saw a great clip, maybe the best clip from Billy Walter, famous sports bettor Billy Walter that I ever saw, because he doesn't usually say anything uh, very helpful, right? He doesn't give a lot of advice out there. I know he wrote a book recently. I didn't read it. I assume that it was just a lot of storytelling and whatnot. It's not like he's going to spill the secret sauce in terms of, how he makes his number. But he did. I reposted it on my TikTok account because it was a pretty interesting little interview that he did with Joe Rogan, where he talked about how he does the same thing. He makes his odds before he looks at any of the sportsbook odds, and he makes his lines for each and every NFL game or college football game, etc., whatever. And he said it's like baking a cake, right? Like everybody makes a cake a little bit differently. A guy might put a little bit more of this in than another guy, and that's how odds making is. So I did find it kind of interesting that he said that, and I kind of think it validated the way I do things. That I don't anchor my predictions to the market. I'd make my predictions and then I go over to the sports book and I compare them to the market. And it's really defeating. Like I said, it's really fucking defeating when you spend hours kind of getting everything together, making sure everything is kind of buttoned up tight, and then you go to finally see how you can pay off on all your hard work, and it just doesn't work out that way. And that's the case here today with the Buffalo Sabres being the only real edge that I've got on the board currently. So yeah, I mean that's it. I'm not gonna make bets just for the sake of it. Uh, JD, if you're watching, you can fire my ass, but it ain't happening. Just joking. Don't fire me. Yeah, chat's pretty boring today. Of course, I don't blame you. There's not a lot to talk about. Um, and yeah, looking ahead to the early odds, it's pretty lame. But I think the Sabres should be a plus 136 underdog, so you can bet them at plus 145 if that's the best price that you've got access to. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm gonna lock in the Red Wings here because I can do it at minus 118. Like I said, one of those faraway shops listing the Red Wings at minus 118. I'm gonna do it. Hopefully, Moritz Seider is healthy. I'm gonna actually just check to see if there's anything out on that. Yeah, not that he's been that great this season. He's actually been kind of bad relative to where he was prior. Yeah, not anything new there. So yeah, whatever. I'm locking in the Red Wings at minus 118. I guess I will just verify what kind of stake I'm looking at. So are you excited for baseball season, Jake? You're a big baseball fan, right?
Yeah, I'm a little down on the Jays this year, but yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward. You know, it's a long season, so there's a lot of room to ease your way into the waters, as it were. But my fantasy league is ramping up. I'm the commissioner of that one, so we're getting ready to do our fantasy draft in a couple of weeks. That's always fun for me, is the fantasy stuff. But yeah, getting into it. I also play baseball myself in the summer, so it's always fun
Nice.
to see the warm weather start to peek through the clouds and get ready for that stuff.
Why are you down on the Jays?
I just don't think they really added.
Just since last season?
Yeah, I don't think they really added anything that improved the team that much from last season. You know, they've had two straight first round exits without a single win. You know, kind of resembling another team in Toronto that you know, we don't need to mention. But yeah, I just don't think they really added enough this off season to get over that hump. And of course, you know, the Orioles are great, the Rays are great, the Yankees added a bunch, so they're in a deadly division to begin with. They're in a deadly league, you know, with teams spending crazy amounts of money. So yeah, I don't know if they added enough to sort of reach that next level.
Next level. I see what you did there. That was their like hashtag last year, wasn't
Yeah, yeah,
it?
they've been saying it for a long time. First, I think 2 years ago it was last year was the preview. This is the movie or whatever, and then the movie ended
Oh
up
my
being
god.
much like the preview, and now they keep telling us they're going to reach the next level, but it's not happening.
Um I saw a post on so yeah, I'm gonna lock in the Red Wings. Hold that thought for a second. I'm gonna lock in the Red Wings to win three quarters of a unit here. Not quite a full play, but minus 118. Anyway, yeah, the Blue Jays going to their home opener in the 2022 season. I know they were, you know, heading into that season, they were a World Series favorite or one of the World Series favorites. Um, but that home opener, that was one of the, I think went down as one of the greatest comebacks ever in a home opener. Um, that was, I think that's my like I was there sporting event, you know, because it was I haven't been to too many big games or memorable games, but that one was just wild. And I don't think I'll ever get to go to another baseball game like that. I could go to a million baseball games and they would never be that good.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with baseball is that there's so many games, the season's so long that when you try to get someone into baseball who's not really into it, the odds that you're going to bring them to kind of a boring game are pretty high. It's
Yeah.
hard to be like, "Oh, this one's going to be great because they're playing such and such a team." So, yeah, it's I think it's
Yeah.
hard for non-baseball fans to get into it.
Like a week later, we went to another game. My wife and my son came out to Toronto, and I brought them to a game, and um, it was my obviously my son's first baseball game, so he's super excited, and like the Jays are like down like 8-0 in like the sixth inning, right, or fifth inning, or something like that. And we just spent the second half of the game like walking the concourse, like doing the activities, doing the kid zone stuff and whatever. So it was all right, but yeah, it can get pretty depressing and pretty boring pretty quick if you're if you're heading there hoping for an exciting game and it just is a blowout in the first few innings. It's hard to make it through the rest of the game. But yeah, that pretty much does it. I am not seeing any other games that I think are worth betting at this time. So yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. Looking ahead to Friday's NHL odds. I believe we were trying to get Arthur Staple on the show to talk some Islanders and set up the Rangers game for tonight, but he did not work out, mostly due to my scheduling conflicts. But um, we are going to try to get him on the show on Thursday to do that. And hopefully that will be the case. And yeah, hopefully we'll have Nick Martin back on Friday as well to break down Saturday's NHL odds with me. But yeah, keep it locked here to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel. If you didn't get a chance to check out yesterday's video, I know we published it a little bit later than usual. Please check that out now. It's a short one, but I think it's pretty valuable information to help you avoid making a mistake that I see a lot of people make in the NHL betting space. So check that out. When you get a chance, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel. Helps out a ton. We really appreciate it. We'll see you on Thursday.